time to get McFry back up running again. I am very excited. I just want to hear this thing start. It's been like 7 months or something since I had it running last. It's been ages, so let's get stuck into it. Got the motor here. I just mounted the dry sump tank in the boot next to the fuel cell. And I've just been playing around with mounting this oil pump, the mandrel and all that sort of stuff. I had to make like a little bit of a bracket here to support the alternator, and I have a tensioner coming to go here to here for the alternator. The oil pump I just mounted. I had to make a little 10mm plate up there to mount that as well. So originally the motor come out of this because it lost oil pressure at Fridays. So I was doing a burnout demo in the car. It was a morning one too, so it was around 11 o'clock, and the motor lost oil pressure and the Haltech shut it down. So which we put down to the relief on the oil pump. Had a Morozzo billet oil pump, and the relief got stuck open. So I don't know if that's a common thing or if I'm just super unlucky, but I was belting the limiter at the time. So either way, it ran out of oil pressure. Haltech shut it down. It did have no oil pressure for like a little while because I had it left it idling, because the Haltech only puts it in limp mode and idles. So I left it idling with no oil pressure for a little while, just not knowing. Took it back. When I got the car home, pulled the motor out, I pulled the sump off, and I pulled one of the rod caps, have a look at the bearings, and they weren't bad, but they just they were burnt. Like you can tell that they just got a little bit burnt. So like the coating on the bearing just started coming off. So I ended up taking the motor over to Brad's. I was actually just gonna change the oil pump and put it back in and go again. And Brad talked me into going with a dry sump. I didn't really want to do it because the amount of work involved, mainly. It's a lot of work to fit this thing. But I'm extremely happy I did, because I'd probably just have the same problems over and over again. So the way that the Ute drove to the other weekend with a dry sump set up, it's just unreal. Like normally with a wet sump, you've always got oil trying to push itself out of the motor everywhere. It's always leaking oil. The dry sump just keeps everything nice and sealed up, and it just works. I just really like how they work. So I went to the 4-stage dry sump from Savvy. So that's 3 scavengers, 1 pressure. Just modified my old sump, cut it in like that. I got Warhorse, Matthew Butler to weld that up for me. We modified that, and got all that sort of side of things done. I literally just mounted the tank in the boot. That's a big tank too. It's a 5-gallon or 19-litre, so I should never have any hot oil issues ever again with this thing. And I do have a heat probe in the side, so I can plug 240 volt in to heat the oil up. And I've got a drain. I've got a thing hanging out the bottom of the tank that long that comes through the floor, so I can drain the oil from the tank from underneath. And I'm going to run 2-16 lines from that tank to that pump up the front. So when I mounted the tank, I put it as high as I could before it was going to hit the boot lid, because obviously the higher that tank is, it's going to be far less chances of any oil supply issues to the pump. So yes, that's where we're at. So the motor, it literally just had new bearings put in it, so it's just a fresh engine again, really. Going to get it in. Probably going to get a tune for E85 for the motor, I'm gonna stick with E85 for the nitrous too. So obviously I will still run methanol at events that allow it if I'm gonna go out and beat on the car, just because it helps keep the water temperature nice and cool. But E85 is pretty good as well, so I'm happy to just run E85. Either way, I can just change my mind if I want to and run the other. So that is going in here, and I don't know, it might take me a week or so to get all the finer little details done before I can actually start it, because obviously I've got to run the lines under here and try to get oil lines. They're probably gonna have to go under that cross member from the sump for the dry sump, because there's no room to go through. I'll wait till I get the motor in and have a look at that. Had to replace this too. The old one was just about to break, so put a new one of those on. Yes. Alright, I'm gonna get stuck into this thing and chuck this in the car. And yeah, I'll just do videos of progress when I do the progress. See how we go. So I've got the motor in there. I'm still waiting on some parts, so I'm only just doing a little bit each day, and then when I get stuff in the mail, then I move forward, that sort of thing. But I managed to get the motor in the car the other night, and yeah, I'll go through and show you what I've done. Now, I've just been doing all the wiring, which is fairly easy on this. It's all sort of plug and play. This is actually my the injector harness. It just plugs into the firewall, and all the injectors run off that, which I'm just gonna put in a minute. It's very tight back here. Everything is really just jammed in there. There's a lot going on. I ended up getting a slightly shorter belt for the oil pump, so the oil pump's moved in a little bit more, sitting much nicer where it is. Still waiting on the rest of the stuff, all the fittings and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, that's kind of where I got with that. And in a minute I'm actually gonna fix the exhaust on the ute. I've got some pipe over here. I need to fix the exhaust system on this ute, so I'm going to do that. I just want to get that over and done with and out of the way, so I can get the ute off the hoist and move some stuff around. Also bought a fire system from Motorsport Connections. Fire system kit. You need one of those to go quicker than 8 seconds on the drag strip. So that, and I've got a parachute cable for the ute, which I've got to fit. Just to get the ute one step closer to getting it to the track. So once I get the parachute cable done, fire system installed, I'll just need to get a belly pan made up for the engine, which essentially is just a pan that goes underneath the motor. I've actually got one for this car sitting over there, that thing there, that aluminium thingy. Just a pan that runs underneath the motor, and the well, essentially just under the motor, and it's just in case you grenade the engine, it's going to put the oil in the pan, not all over the track. So thought some of you guys might be curious what radiator setup I run in this car. So I simply just run a Chinese radiator. I think it was like $180 for a Kingswood. And I run two good fans. So these are Spal shroud fans. I think they draw around 15 amps each, something like that, 14 amps each. And they hang off a bit off the radiator, but they're a really good setup. The fans absolutely pump, and it actually keeps the motor cool. It's the best radiator system I've had in this car. It just works extremely well. So it does the job really good. I've been busy, I got a lot done. Let me show you. Now I've actually got the whole motor in, everything wired up, headers on. and I'm up to the stage of just needing to do the dry sump, running all the lines. So that's the stage I'm at now. I've done everything else. I'm going to give you guys the VIP look underneath here. Nothing too fancy under here. So I've actually got a pan that sits on here, and it sits pretty much just above this washer here. So I can actually run hoses under the cross member here. So I'm going to run one hose, as you can see here, and I'm going to run another one next to it. And I've got 3 scavengers, so the other hose is actually going to come up over and come around and come into here. So I'm just going to wait. I'm just waiting on some fittings for that. Haven't fully figured out how I'm going to run the lines to the back yet. So there's a -16 line here and one here. So there's going to be 2 -16 lines that have got to go all the way to the back of the car to the tank. And on the ute, I pretty much just ran them under the gearbox, but I don't have an X pipe on the ute like I do on this car. So I literally just ran them straight down and then into the tunnel, and then down the tunnel to the tank. Because this has an X pipe and it's really close to the floor, like very close, it's quite hard because I don't really want to run the hoses near the exhaust if I can help it, and the exhaust on this is very close in the tunnel there as well. So yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, the lines. I can probably do it with some heat sleeve maybe. I'll just have to figure that out when the time comes. Alright, so I've just finished running all the lines now. I have them coming out through the boot floor up there. It's very, very tight. I even had to shave that bolt right there, because that was touching the hose when the anti-roll bar went up. So it's friggin' tight up there. I've run out of these too, so I'm gonna have to get some more. I've pretty much just clamped both hoses up. I'm gonna put another clamp there. This is the bit I was worried about because it had to go over the headers, but I put some heat wrap on the hoses. I've got one clamp here. I'll probably put another one on the other hose just to stop that from slipping down. And they zoom over the pipes there, and they come very close to the flywheel as well. So everything is freaking tight for these hoses. So I'm gonna have to just make sure they stay put. So I'm going with 2 hoses coming under the cross member, another clamp there, going up to the pump. The 2 -16s, I've got a straight fitting there and 180 bend there. So that's the return line, that's the oil pressure. And then this one here is another scavenge, but I've got it going up there and it comes back down to here, and I put a heat wrap on that one, and that's the oil pressure up there going into right there. So there's a lot going on. I've got to put a new filter on too, got to remember that. I'll lower this down and we'll have a look at the top side. Okay, so in the boot, the return line just has a 90 bend, goes to the floor. This one here is the feed, goes to the tank down the bottom there, runs behind the fuel cell, and I've got a clamp on that holding it down as low as possible, because obviously because that's the feed, if it was say up here for example, the oil's not going to be able to go over that to go down to the pump. So where that is now is probably equivalent to being about here on the tank, or somewhere probably even below that. So it should be sweet unless I do a wheelie. But if there's any pressure drop issues, anything like that, the Haltech's gonna let me know. So it's a bit of trial and error for me, really. I think it'll be fine. Top side of the pump actually looks very neat up here. So I've just got my Clearview filter mounted in the guard there. The pressure goes there, and then the feed goes down there. And that pulley is very close to the fan, and that wire too. Everything's just freaking tight. So that's it. Now I've just got to change that filter. I'm going to put some oil in now. I need to set the timing. Make sure I've got the cam sync in the right spot. So I'll do that. Gonna get some fuel for it. Yeah, I should be able to start this thing tomorrow, I reckon. Alright, so I found some E85 I had in the corner of the shed. It's about a year old, but should be enough to get this thing going. I'll just plug the heater in, and it is starting to work. I spilled E85 all through the friggin' boot lid. It went everywhere. Just an absolute mess. So I'm going to have to try and dry the boot lid out to get that out. It's off fuel pressure, everything. Nothing's leaking, which is good. It's ready to start. Can try start it now. There's a chance that it could be 180 degrees out. The timing, I mean 360. So it might not actually run, but we'll give it a go and we'll see if it'll actually start. Might need to charge a battery by the looks. If the Haltech's shutting off when I'm trying to start it. Yeah, 12.4. I'm gonna have to charge a battery. Well, BRB. This is my battery charger. AGM gel lithium. Boom. 12.6 volt. I'll just sit that down there. Funny enough, I just noticed that I had none of the coils plugged in, so it was never going to start anyway. But the battery is also flat, so I'll start it in a minute. Alright, we're going to try again. I literally only had the charger on for 5 minutes, so it might still not run, but we'll see. Yeah, see that backfire? It means timing is 360 degrees out. So I'm going to get the laptop and redo that. So this is how to do it. Timing adjustment right here. That was on 400. Put that on 40. That pretty much brings the time in that whole revolution around. And this just connects through the Wi-Fi. Super simple. Now this bitch is gonna start. Oh, you starting now, boy? Woo! Well, it's running. Alright, that's all I wanted to do for now. I've still got the wideband set on methanol. Haven't put any water in it yet either. So I'm just going to run around and make sure nothing's leaking, everything's working like it should. Probably start it back up again, just get it a little bit hotter, and then chuck some water in. And yeah, everything seems to be good. Oil pressure seems a bit on the low side, so I'll probably end up adjusting that, but everything else is mint, so she runs. Good. That's it. That's this little heat cycle. Yeah, next event's going to be the rear drive roll racing event in this car, and then Drift Missouri in Queensland, which is in October. So doing roll racing, then Drift Missouri, and we're putting this on the dyno next weekend on the E85 and the nitrous, see how much power it makes. Yeah, and I'll keep you guys informed on how that goes. So thanks for watching, everyone, and hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you shortly.